Welcome to Confessions of an SEO. This is Carolyn Holzman. A lot of SEO podcasts are trying to help you get a leg up on the tactics of SEO. This isn't where that happens. My goal is to put a human face on SEO for both SEOs and business owners to get our heads out of the Google Webmaster Guidelines and resist the urge to quote the latest John Mueller office hour that basically feels like he took a nice way to say, you're going to get screwed by the algorithm. There's nothing you can do about it. If you're an SEO, I get you. If you're a business owner, I also get you. For 20 years before I was an SEO, I was a local business owner driving in traffic to my office and constantly trying to figure out how to get more customers now that the yellow pages were gone. So I hope these shows help you understand how to hold an SEO accountable and, more importantly, to have a better idea of what is within the SEO's control and what is within Google, so you're not holding your SEO responsible for something that only Google can change. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 10. I've had a good week. If you missed this week's SEO Fight Club, I was graciously given the opportunity to widely share the recent findings from the Google Index Detector about how to get new content. That is content that has never been published on your site before, how to get that indexed. Now, it's been tested, it's repeatable, it's pretty easy, and right now, just to be fair, looks like this week Google is trying to make some construction mess in the Search Console. So expect delays and accidents during this time. So when you check on your URLs, what you'll see is they're getting indexed if you check on them in Search Console, but they're being delayed and rolled out into the primary index so we can find them by their keywords. All you have to know right now is just do not submit your new content to get indexed via the Request Indexation button in Search Console. Hook up your site to the Google Indexing API, and if you like it, index now with Bing. And if you want to see the breakdown and the testing and the results, go ahead and watch episode 146 of SEO Fight Club. It's called Indexation, Ask Me Nicely. The discussion was great, and it really felt good getting, I guess, outside validation that the last 6 months of my life testing indexation and reading server logs every day wasn't a waste. I have calculated that over the course of a week, and that's like calendar days, not just a business week, I spend somewhere between 12 to 15 hours on indexation-related activity. And then there's the podcast. Okay. So anyway, it takes a lot of my time. But today's topic I wanted to kind of explore a little bit was whether or not SEO or the pursuit of SEO, doing SEO activity, can become an addiction. I think it's on the bubble, so it could go either way depending on the person. For me, SEO definitely provides a high, and I got curious after this latest breakthrough in the indexing new content phase. I went for months launching new test pages every day on the Google Index project and to get nothing out of it in the way of indexation. And since mid-February, it's been like riding a high wave. Sometimes, just for fun, I want to check for a test keyword and have that little moment, where while the wheel is spinning and it's like, I dance around with a little bit of doubt, like, oh no, will it show up? And then only to be ecstatically thrilled when I see the page that I was looking for. So I started wondering about this, and I found a very interesting article in The Observer. I'll put the link in the description. And it was written by a doctor about how she believes that digital media has turned us all into dopamine addicts. I am not being flippant or dismissive of substance addiction. It's real, and it's real painful for all concerned. And even though the addict definitely needs treatment, people usually go to AA, so do people who love them, which is called Al-Anon. It's a horrible disease, and I don't believe it's a character flaw, but a brain wiring. And some do survive if they want to live. And that right there is as serious as I'm going to get on that topic. So getting back to the article, the writer was interviewing Dr. Anne Lempke, she's the chief of Stanford University's dual diagnosis addiction clinic. She's treated patients addicted apparently from heroin to gambling, Botox, and ice baths. Ice baths. I didn't know you could get addicted to ice baths. Anyway, she made it her business over her career to find out why we get hooked on things and consequently what it looks like to enjoy things in healthier doses. Her book is called Dopamine Nation, and in it she states that we're all addicts to some degree. We try in various ways to change how we feel and obviously use various things to accomplish that. And she says the smartphone has become, and these are her words, a modern day hypodermic needle that we turn to for quick hits of seeking attention, validation, and distraction. Okay, I can see that. And this is the piece, everybody's pretty clear, I think, on substance abuse, but it's the behavioral addictions that she was talking about that since the year 2000, they have soared. And they're seeing a huge explosion in people struggling with minor addictions. And obviously, you can't talk about addiction without talking about dopamine, or as the cool kids like to call it, the Kim Kardashian of molecules. I found out that even the shape of the molecule has become a popular tattoo. And who says the public doesn't love science? But what was eye-opening and new information to me was the part in the article that spoke about dopamine itself, that dopamine as a chemical doesn't give us pleasure. It motivates us to do the things we think will bring pleasure. So what does all this have to do with SEO? Well, I can tell that because you asked that question that way, you're probably not an SEO. There is nothing so exhilarating as getting a result that is nowhere in Google to the number one spot, especially because we want to do it for terms where it's search volume. So sometimes it takes a lot of work. And the thing is, all of us experience a dopamine rush in anticipation of doing something. In this case, the activity of trying to rank for something, as well as when it actually hits, But this is the kicker. When dopamine works in this way, a side effect of that dopamine rush is that it makes us want to continue to do that activity. And on the other side, here's why I'm not exactly sold on the concept that SEO activity, because of the availability of dopamine, obviously, when you're going through this work, that it qualifies as a behavioral addiction. Now, she says that the digital world is dangerous to our brain because there are no practical limitations forcing us to pause. You can run out of money if you're trying to obtain, cocaine. But Netflix and Facebook, they just kind of persist tirelessly, and you just have to refresh the screen. And part of why she says it's dangerous is that we stay and we kind of hang out in our limbic brain. And she recommends that what we need to do is move to our frontal cortex. And this is where it gets interesting. And I'm going to quote her. She said, the frontal cortex is where future planning and problem solving resides. Now, if that doesn't describe exactly what we do in SEO, future planning and problem solving, that's it in a nutshell. I don't know a better way to describe it. That's actually quite good. And she recommends that we learn how to tolerate stress and be okay being uncomfortable. And as an SEO, we have to tolerate a shit ton of stress, like when a search engine won't index new content, for example, and you're doing everything that they say you should do to do it. And then she talks about delayed gratification, that we should do activities where, there's a space. And if that isn't delayed, if delayed gratification isn't exactly what SEO is, I don't know what is. Then learn how to deal with frustration and pain. I think forevermore that needs to go into every SEO job description, don't you? I mean, talk about a distance between effort and reward. And does it feel great to get a big win? You betcha. Does it make you want to keep doing it? Oh, yeah. I mean, I wake up every morning and I cannot wait to get working on whatever it is that is on my desk, whatever next thing I'm trying to do. I mean, figuring out the piece to the puzzle. That's why I love doing the forensic SEO. I mean, talk about it's literally undoing a knot. The only thing I think I really don't like, and I'd mentioned this before, is in client work where you have to chase after a client who's late with their payment. I mean, that really takes the shine off of it. And looking back, as a business owner, when I was doing my own SEO for that company, I think I tried to do too much. Clearly, I was getting more pleasure out of doing my own marketing and SEO. And when the revenue from doing SEO for others started to rival the revenue from the business, there was this weird sort of no man's land, where I felt like I was somehow, unfaithful to my business. So I owed it something more, talk about sick. Ugh. And I do think, in that situation, I don't think I was as addicted to SEO as I was addicted to having a business where at least people knew what I did. In that business, I made CDs, I made them, retail ready product. But have you ever tried to explain what you do as an SEO? I mean, that's not so easy. So I think SEO as a pursuit is really a dopamine driven experience. And that explains so much to me about why business owners want to get in the middle of it, even if they've hired an SEO or an SEO team. They say you can gauge where you are on the addiction spectrum by whatever it is you're doing that's interfering with your life and how much you would give up to keep that thing that's interfering with your life. How much would you give up to keep that in your life? I don't think I would give up the people in my life or my health for it. Our families, friends, and especially ourselves deserve our own full attention and time to be together. And I would go so far as to say that when we give ourselves that kind of uninterrupted attention, so we know when we're spending too much screen time or maybe being too hard on ourselves on the inside, that little voice that can keep you, going and going and going. The benefit of being aware of when that happens and changing our behavior, I think it can't help but overflow to our families and friends. So I think, the more we take care of ourselves, that's how we take care of our family and our friends. My sister-in-law's dad had a great saying, which he said in Spanish, but don't worry, I will only attempt this in English. And it went something like this: I wish you health, wealth, love, and the time to enjoy them. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you for being a listener. And thank you very much to the sponsors of Confessions of an SEO. If you would, please subscribe wherever you're listening. It's a way podcasts get rated. So it's on Audible, Spotify, and Amazon Alexa. And if you haven't settled on one source, you can just Google it, Confessions of an SEO. You cannot miss it. I'm almost taken over page 1. Okay. All of us stand to make more business and success together when both the SEOs and the business owners understand each other and Google better. It's been my pleasure to be your host. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the SERPs.